Week 24. Day 162, on inverse paranoia. Inverse paranoid, someone who believes the world is conspiring to do him good. Sees every situation as being heaven sent to teach some valuable lesson or make him successful. This is the most outwardly identifiable quality of a high-performing person. Brian Tracy. Cognitive reframing is a process in which you change the meaning of a difficulty, hardship, or failure and give it a positive slant. For example, if you were injured during a workout, you can think of it as the worst thing that could have happened to you, or you can reframe it by looking at it as an opportunity to recharge and focus on performing the exercise more safely in the future, perhaps preventing an even worse injury by doing so. If you cheated while on a diet, you can think of it as a stupid move on your part. However, it would be better to look at it as a lesson by asking yourself why, where, and when it happened, and what you can do to avoid doing it again in the future. If you're ready to take cognitive reframing to the extreme, and I strongly recommend you do so, develop what Brian Tracy calls inverse paranoia, the belief that the world is conspiring to do you good and that everything that happens to you contributes to your success. Living with such a mindset not only makes you happier, it also makes you more mentally resilient, because you know that everything happens for a good reason, and consequently, less likely to become discouraged and give up. Day 163, on angry comebacks. Never respond to an angry person with a fiery comeback, even if he deserves it. Don't allow his anger to become your anger. Bodie Sanders. Anger is one of the most infectious emotions. When somebody attacks them verbally, for many people the urge to offer a nasty, angry comeback is so overpowering that they do it automatically. Before you know it, you're engaged in a verbal fight. Working on controlling your anger can provide great benefits when it comes to strengthening your impulse control. Every time somebody attacks you, resist the temptation to engage in a fight by either finding something funny about the situation, deflecting the attack, for example by thanking the attacker for expressing their opinion, which might then strike you as humorous, or if those are not possible, walking away from the situation. Remember that in the grand scheme of things you gain nothing, and risk a lot, by responding with a fiery comeback. As good as venting feels at that moment, losing your temper is not worth it when you consider the potential longer-term cost, such as losing your job, your reputation, a key relationship, or even just ruining your mood for the entire day. Refusing to respond with anger is a simple exercise, but not easy. And that's why, combined with the fact that most of us deal with aggressive people at least once a week, it can be a valuable opportunity for you to increase your self-control when interacting with others. As a bonus quote for today, ponder the words of Hazrat Inayat Khan. Very often in everyday life one sees that by losing one's temper with someone who has already lost his, one does not gain anything but only sets out upon the path of stupidity. He who has enough self-control to stand firm at the moment when the other person is in a temper, wins in the end. It is not he who has spoken 100 words aloud who has won, it is he who has perhaps spoken only one word. Day 164, on easing yourself into the pain. One painful duty fulfilled makes the next plainer and easier. Helen Keller. If you have a few unpleasant tasks to perform and you have no idea where to start, begin with the least unpleasant task to ease yourself into the pain, so to speak. Once you cross off the first task, working on the next task, even if it's more painful than the first one, should be easier because you'll be warmed up, carried forward by the positive momentum. It's like taking a brief, 10-second cold shower prior to jumping into a cold swimming pool, something I used to do when I was a regular at my local swimming pool. You've already exhibited some self-control, warmed yourself up for discomfort. I know, warming yourself up isn't really a good choice of words here, and now the more unpleasant act of submerging your body in cold water should be easier. After all, you've already taken the first step and gained some momentum. If even the least unpleasant task on your list is still so overwhelming that you don't want to get to it, Warm yourself up to discomfort by doing virtually anything else that's slightly uncomfortable, such as doing the dishes, performing a quick set of squats, or cleaning your desk. This way, you'll slowly transition from being comfortable into being a bit less comfortable, and eventually, into the unpleasant task you need to perform. Day 165, on not living up to your ideals. Our behavior sometimes falls short of our ideals not because we're bad people and not because our self-interest outweighs our benevolence, but because we don't realize we're not living up to our ideals. Russ Roberts. Self-awareness is an important part of the process of making any change. If you don't pay enough attention to your actions, you won't be able to ensure that you live up to your ideals. Each week, perform a quick review. Ask yourself if your actions during the past week were congruent with your ideals, values, and goals. For example, if my goal is to become a calmer, more understanding person, each week, or each day, I'll ask myself if I exuded those emotions or let myself go, and in both cases, specifically when I did so, and how and why. Knowing when you make mistakes will help you avoid them in the future and encourage further improvement. Don't focus on mistakes alone, though. For motivational purposes, it's also important to think about when you did live up to your ideals and feel proud of your progress. Implement self-monitoring and periodic reviews in your routine, and you'll increase your chances of making a new change stick. If you don't evaluate your behavior, you'll make everything harder. Day 166, on handling emotions. People with a strong physical constitution can tolerate extremes of hot and cold. People of strong mental health can handle anger, grief, joy and the other emotions. Epictetus. While people usually associate self-discipline with the ability to resist temptations, such as laziness or overeating, another equally, if not more, important benefit of self-control is the increased ability to control your emotions. Both negative and positive feelings make our lives more exciting, but they can also jeopardize our long-term goals if we let them influence our behavior too much. For example, if you're impatient and tend to rush things, one wrong, emotionally motivated decision can destroy the progress of many months or years. A more disciplined approach to impatience, recognizing the difference between when the emotion can actually inspire positive change and when it's a sign of dissatisfaction with something you can't control, would serve you more than letting impatience dictate all of your behaviors. Positive emotions, as pleasant as they feel, can also affect you negatively. For example, being overjoyed with your results carries the danger of self-congratulation and subsequent complacency, which places you at risk of losing the habits that you had to develop to reach that success. A more disciplined approach to joy, expressing your happiness and gratitude for your success, and then reminding yourself that you still have a lot to learn and promptly looking for another challenge, would serve you more than jumping from joy and assuming that now that you've accomplished your goal, you're a world-class expert and now nothing will ever stand in your way. Be vigilant of both your positive and negative emotions and understand the risk they can carry with them when left unchecked. Day 167, on routines overcoming a bad mood. A solid routine fosters a well-worn groove for one's mental energies and helps stave off the tyranny of moods. Mason Curry. I'm a big proponent of daily routines, not only because they ensure that you steadily advance towards your goal, but also because they reduce the likelihood of negative moods ruining your progress. Let's not fool ourselves, we're humans, and sometimes we feel bad. If you don't have a daily routine and wake up in a bad mood, it's almost certain that you won't care much about your current resolutions and forego them for the rest of the day. Handling your negative mood will be more important than any other objectives you might have had. However, if you've established a daily routine and it's now instilled in your mind, the risk that you won't perform it is much lower. Why is that so? Because the beautiful thing about a daily routine is that once it's automatic, you feel bad when you don't do it. This means that if you're in a bad mood, not performing your routine will make you feel even worse, so the best choice is to stick to your routine in spite of your bad mood. When setting important long-term goals, also create daily routines that will steadily move you toward achieving them. Once established, they will be some of your biggest allies. Day 168, on wasting your energy when you don't have important rituals. There is no more miserable human being than one in whom nothing is habitual but indecision, and for whom the lighting of every cigar, the drinking of every cup, the time of rising and going to bed every day, and the beginning of every bit of work, are subjects of express volitional deliberation. Full half the time of such a man goes to the deciding, or regretting, of matters which ought to be so ingrained in him as practically not to exist for his consciousness at all. William James. Continuing on the topic of routines that we discussed yesterday, the more routines you have, particularly routines for the most important parts of the day, the more time and energy you have for making decisions. Many top performers follow specific routines, but they all differ wildly. For example, Pablo Picasso worked between 3 p.m. and 2 a.m., with a 1-hour break at 10 p.m., while Victor Hugo spent most of his day on leisure, except for a 2-hour writing session between 6 and 8 p.m. Benjamin Franklin woke up at 5 in the morning, while Pablo Picasso didn't wake up until 11 a.m. This demonstrates that what's most important is not following somebody else's specific routine, but following some kind of a routine that fits your personality. At a minimum, develop at least 3 routines in your life that will eliminate indecision and improve your control of the day. 1. When you wake up and when you go to bed. Life is unpredictable and things will happen, but you can choose your working hours and ensure a highly predictable weekly schedule. 2. What you do in the morning to ensure a good day's start. Discover what types of mornings usually lead to happy, productive days and repeat the same actions daily. 3. When you work. Most applicable to entrepreneurs and other people with flexible work schedule. If you don't have a flexible schedule, at least dedicate a set period of the day for the most important part of your work,